Chapter 5. Today we are going to learn about water. What is the importance of water? We have studied in the previous part of the lessons like how we categorize the entire water content on the entire planet as hydrosphere. From the tiny droplet, minute in the minutest tiny droplet, to the largest body of water, that is ocean. All together we call it as hydrosphere. But let us now discuss in detail how the planet Earth has got the distribution of water. The thing is, water what we have some millions of years ago is the same water that is present even today. The water which is flowing in Indian Ocean today might have been flown in the Amazon basin once upon a time. The water which is in the Arctic Ocean might be present in some of the rivers of India some years ago. So water is not something which is created on day-to-day basis. Water is a component which we have from millions of years existing on our planet, but it is changing its forms from one form to the other form. The changing of form from one form or one state to the other state is known as water cycle. The oceans, the atmosphere, the land. Water is in the oceans, which reaches the atmosphere, then again it reaches back to the land. Where does it reach on the land? It reaches to the rivers, ponds, lakes, etc. on the land. So the process of reaching of water from oceans to the land in different small parts of bodies of water, that is river, ponds, lakes, is known as water cycle. Let us now learn the water cycle concept in detail. As we all know, water doesn't travel from ocean to some other place. The last point where the water reaches is a sea, and all the seas join one or the other oceans except one or two exceptional cases. Now coming to here, the oceans, how does the water reach to the rivers or ponds or lakes or etc.? Actually the process is, the lakes, the rivers originate, then they form the different kinds of lakes, then they travel across, they reach to the sea, then from sea they reach to the ocean in this process. But we are discussing now from ocean back to the land. How is this happening? When the journey is going from the birth of the river to the ocean, how can this come back again? Is the water traveling in the reverse direction? No. The water in the oceans, due to sun rays falling on the ocean, due to the temperatures, the water gets evaporated. When water is getting evaporated, when water is getting heated, the heated water turns into water vapor. Here, the form of the water which is in the liquid state is now changing into gaseous state, and it is moving into the atmosphere. So there water will be getting converted into water vapor, and from water vapor it travels into the clouds. In this process of water getting converted into water vapor, the process happening is evaporation. Once the evaporation happens, the water will become water vapor, and water vapor will take all the entire parts into the clouds. When it goes into the cloud, this process of water going into the cloud, the water vapor is going through the atmosphere and it is going to the higher elevation, and once it reaches the clouds, there is a temperature variation from the ground level to the cloud level. So again, when water vapor is in the clouds, it is experiencing some kind of cool temperatures or dropping of the temperatures when compared to the land level. So here what it happens, then again the water vapor gets condensed. So now water got heated, so it became water vapor and it went up into the atmosphere through air, and from there it reached to the clouds. But once it reached the clouds, and it started to move there, there again it is experiencing the falling down of the temperatures. Once the temperature started to fall down, the water vapor which is in the clouds will start to convert itself into tiny droplets of water again. Because when water is heated down at the ground level, it got converted into water vapor. So the same water vapor, when it is experiencing downfall of the temperature, then automatically it will convert itself into the water droplets. So this water droplets cannot be holded much longer time by the clouds anymore. So they start to drop down these tiny droplets of water in the form of rain. So these rains doesn't happen only at the place where the ocean evaporation happened or this process happened. They travel across with the winds, and this water of ocean which got converted into water vapor and passed through the clouds reached to the nearby land or nearby place, and there it starts to rain. This water is collected or reaches to the nearest lake or the river. That's how the process of water reaches from the oceans to the land, that is the rivers, ponds, lakes, etc. This entire process of getting evaporated, getting condensed, and again coming down in the form of rain, hail, snow, etc. is known as water cycle. And the water getting heated up and getting evaporated and getting condensed is called precipitation. So these all processes happen in the water cycle, and this is not happening from yesterday or 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 100 years ago. It is happening from millions of years on the planet of Earth. That is why, as I mentioned earlier, the water what we are seeing today in the Indian Ocean might have been flown in the river Mississippi some years ago. The water today what we have in river Mississippi might have been in the river Ganga in India some years ago. So the water content on the entire planet is same. It is changing its form from one form to the other form and again coming back to the normal form. So it's happening from millions of years to millions of years. It goes on happening. But how is the distribution of the water now? When the water cycle is a continuous process, when there is no end for this process, water cycle is happening continuously. How much amount of fresh water is available for us? How much amount is in the oceans? Let us see the distribution of the water on the planet Earth. That is, the oceans consists of 97.3% of the entire planet's water stored in the different oceans. Then we have the ice caps, 2.0%. Then we have the groundwater, 0.68%. Then we have the fresh water, 0.009%. And the atmosphere, where these water vapors or all these consists of 0.0019%. And coming to the rivers, 0.0001%. So total amount of fresh water available for us on the planet is 2.7%. So it is less than 3%. Total amount of water stored in the oceans is 97.3%. So from this we can understand that the main source of water what we have for us is oceans. But the fundamental question here arises is ocean water suitable for drinking? When we are thirsty, we never take ocean water or sea water for drinking. Why? Because the ocean water is salty or saline in taste, which we cannot quench our thirst. Whenever you are thirsty, we prefer to have only fresh water. Why we prefer to have only fresh water? Because only the fresh water can quench your thirst. No other water can quench your thirst. But 97% of the planet Earth's water is in the oceans. So we need to use our fresh water very carefully. Now the question is, why the ocean water is so salty or so saline in taste? Because it consists of more amount of salts getting dissolved in this one. In the process of rivers, seas bringing the water, they bring lot of stuff and get them dumped into the ocean, and lot of chemicals, lot of salts get dissolved in the water. That is why the taste of oceans or the seas is saline in taste, which consists of maximum of sodium salt, which we all have in our regular curries, and which is not preferable for eating when we are drinking water. I mean, not preferred when we drink that water. We generally don't drink salt water, we drink only plain water. But the usage of the plain water by the humans nowadays is really at an alarming rate, because we start to use it enormously without any wise decision at all. We have to use the water judiciously. We generally use the water as a free gift for us, but we need to preserve the water for the next generations also, as we got it naturally from the previous generations who use the water wisely and judiciously and preserve the natural resources for us. In a similar way, we have to preserve the natural resources carefully, and we have to pass it to the next generations. You may get a doubt, sir, from millions of years, if the same water is present on the planet, then why the percentage of fresh water is not getting reduced or not getting increased? Either reduced or increased. Ocean's water or ocean water. The water which is converting into water vapor from the oceans is just giving up the fresh water. So same fresh water is reaching to the rivers, lakes, ponds and everywhere. The same water we are utilizing it. So wherever we have the groundwater, wherever we have the fresh water, wherever we have the atmosphere, wherever we have the rivers, that is just only 2 to 2.5% of the water what is available for us on the planet Earth. Now, when we walk on the seashore or an ocean shore, we generally have a magical moment. That too, especially when we walk on barefoot. When we are walking without any shoes or slippers or any footwear, we feel the water coming and touching our feet and leaving us. Walking on the wet sand gives us a special feel for us, a thrilling experience. I hope all of you might have also experienced the same thing. So the movement of the water, it is in the ocean or in the seas, can be broadly categorized into three, that is the waves, the currents or the tides. Waves, currents or the tides. When we are walking on the ocean shore or the seashore, we experience the water coming and touching your bare feet on the wet sand and leaving us. When we play something, we generally play when we go to a seashore, we play there, especially with a ball we play. When ball misses us and falls into the water brings back that ball what we are playing. Why is it coming back? Because of the movement of the water which is happening in the sea or the ocean. When the water is coming back, it is bringing back the ball also. So the alternative rise and fall of the water is known as wave. The alternative rise and fall of the water is known as wave, and the waves are small at the shore. We can enjoy the waves maximum up to your knee level, you get the water. But as we go deeper and deeper into the seas and the oceans, the waves height goes up to 15 meters tall, sometimes beyond us. And what about if any major activities happen under the layers of the earth or in the ocean crust? Yes. In 2004, a massive wave, huge wave, let us call it as harbor wave, has struck the states of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Puducherry, Kerala, Karnataka. Not only the Indian states of south, but also the countries of Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and even the Andaman and Nicobar, Indira Point got submerged. Yes, you rightly understood. I am talking about the tsunami which has hit India on 26th of December 2004. What happened why such a massive wave has come up and hit all the states. The Indian tectonic plate got merged with the Burma plate. Indian tectonic plate went into the Burma plate, subsided or went inside the Burma plate. When the Indian plate went into the Burma plate at the border, the water from the Indian Ocean immediately rushed in to fill the gap. And once it got rushed in, and then the same water came back with a force. And it came back with a force of 700 to 800 kilometers per hour. And when it started to reach the coastal areas, it has hit all the coastal areas with a massive speed. And the height of the wave was 150 meters. And this wave has destroyed nearly 10,000 people lost their lives. It has caused huge damage for the properties. Many countries have experienced this loss. So that is tsunami, the giant wave or the harbor wave. So waves, the alternative rise and fall of water which we experience when we go to a seashore, is a wave. When it is coming with a very high, the wave height is going on beyond 15 meters, it is called huge wave. When it is coming beyond 100 meters with huge force, it is called harbor wave or tsunami. When this happened in 2004, in Indian Ocean, we have very less seismic activity when compared to the Pacific Ocean. In Pacific Oceans, we have the setup, we have the system which can alert the tsunami alerts for us before 3 hours. We cannot predict the tsunamis, but at least we can alert the crowd before 3 hours. But bad luck is, for the Indian Ocean, as the seismic activity is very less, we have no system to detect about the tsunami alerts in the Indian Ocean. So that is one of the reasons why we lost so many people's life, so much damage for property, because here the seismic activity is very less when compared to the Pacific Ocean. Now coming to the next important movement of water, that is tide. The next important movement of the water is tide. What is tide? A tide is a gravitational pull of the water which is present on the earth by the moon and by the sun is known as the tide. When the water which is present on the planet earth is pulled by the influence of moon towards one side, the water rises and falls down. Due to the influence of moon or due to the influence of the sun, if the water on the oceans and the seas is getting raised up and falling down, that is known as tide. The tides are divided into two categories. One is the neap tides, the other one is the spring tides. What are neap tides and what are spring tides? Neap tides can be simply called as small level tides. When it comes to the spring tides, it is known as high level tides. What are these small level tides, high level tides? Neap tides means the pull of the moon and the pull of the sun are in diagonal to each other on the earth. So when at the first quarters and the third quarter, when the planet earth is rotating, here we need to go back to the basic fundamental of earth solar system. We have sun, we have planets, and we have moons. Sun is at the nuclei. All the planets rotate around themselves and rotate around the sun on a fixed path known as orbit. So when earth is rotating around itself, moon is rotating around the earth. So moon is the first natural satellite for any planet. So here, when moon is rotating around this planet earth is rotating around itself and rotating around the sun. So when the moon and the sun don't come in the same line, but they come as right angle to each other, like at the center we have the planet earth, and one side we have straight we have the sun, and right on the top northern direction if we have moon, or on the down the south we have the moon. They are influencing the waters of the planet Earth from two different directions. So here the water is pulled towards the north or south by the moon, and at the same time here it is pulled by the sun's gravity. So the tides are very low, they can't go much high because they are exerted pressure from both the sides and they are in the reverse direction. So that's why the tides are very low and they cause neap tides. But if sun, planet Earth and moon are on the straight line, if they are on the straight line in 180 degrees, three of them, then the influence of the sun on one side, the moon on the other side are pulling on the same directions of the waters, and there is no other pressure which is exerted opposite to them. So the tides are very high, they go very high and they fall down. So these high tides are known as spring tides. So due to the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun, the waters on the earth are attracted and they rise and fall, and this rise and fall, if it is very high, it is known as spring tides. This happens when sun, earth and moon are in the straight line, and when it is in the low level of tides, that is when sun, earth and moon are at 90-degree right angle to each other diagonally. So the influence is felt on reverse directions, or it is subsided because one side it is pulled by the moon, the other side is pulled by the sun. So that causes very low tides. Those tides are known as neap tides. So there are high tides and low tides. Coming to the currents. What is a current? Generally when we listen to the word current, we generally think it's a electricity, the synonym for electricity. But the actual thing is, current is something which is flown constantly. Even in electricity, the flow of electrons constantly is known as current. Here the water is flowing constantly in a definite direction, in a fixed direction, that is known as current. If the water flows towards the east, then it is called as eastern current. If it flows towards the west, it is known as western current. Here the water is flowing constantly on a fixed direction. So when the water is flowing on a fixed direction, from north to south or from south to some other direction, then it is called as ocean current, because the ocean water is flowing here. We have 5 major oceans. The ocean water only can flow so constantly, no other water can go so fastly and constantly. And coming to here, we have 2 types of ocean currents. One is warm ocean current, the other one is cold ocean currents. Warm ocean currents are called Gulf currents and cold ocean currents are called Labrador currents. So the Labrador currents are in the northern region, and from there they flow towards the eastern side, the central part of our planet Earth near to towards the equator, and the Gulf currents will flow from the southern hemisphere towards the equator. So here we have cold ocean currents, example Labrador, and the warm ocean currents, example the Gulf currents. When these cold ocean currents and the warm ocean currents get at some point meet each other, there it is the best place for doing fishing activity, because it brings all the warm ocean current and the cold ocean currents at a particular point where they meet, and it is the best place where the temperature or the weather is like foggy there, the influence is very less. So all the fishes or fishing activity is very easy there. There you can catch huge amount of fishes there. This is an example. In Japan we can find this kind of activity or this kind of atmosphere there. The best fishing spot is the place where the cold ocean currents and the warm ocean currents meet each other. So these are the different movements of the water bodies. First one is the waves, second one is the tides, and third one is the currents. So the entire water on this planet is going through the process of water cycle, and once the water cycle is a continuous process, so there is no end for this one. That's why we rightly call this as water cycle or hydrological cycle, and it consists of lakes, ponds, rivers, seas and oceans. In the seas and the oceans, we have the major activities. Those are movements like waves, tides and currents. Waves, it is rise and fall of the water, huge waves up to 15 meters, and harbor waves or tsunami waves up to 150 meters with a force of 700 kilometers per hour. And coming to the tides, it is a gravitational pull by the sun and the moon. They cause high tides and low tides known as spring tides and neap tides respectively. Coming to the currents, the constant flow of water in a definite direction is called ocean current. There are cold ocean currents and warm ocean currents. The place where the cold ocean currents and the warm ocean currents meet is the best place for doing fishing, and there you experience foggy type of climatic conditions. These are the important points of this lesson.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.